Another interesting concept about numbers that you don't really get to understand is known as absolute values. An absolute value for a positive number is equal to a positive number. And how about absolute value of a negative number? And yes, indeed, it is going to give you the positive number. And for example, in some cases where you have positive 1 and we are performing the absolute value of a positive 1, we get positive 1. And how about in here we have negative 1? That means we also get the same number, which is positive 1. And this here for absolute value, when we look at it on a number line and we scale it from one tick mark to the next tick mark is 4 units. Therefore, we have this to be 8, and then the other side is -4 and -8. When we determine the absolute value of 8, the answer is positive 8. And when we look at it in the other direction, let's say for example from 0 to -4, what is the absolute value? Still 4. And how is this going to be shown in terms of absolute value notation? This shows that the absolute value of -4 is equal to 4 units. And on the other side here, when we look at the absolute value of 8, that gives us 8 units. So what does this mean? This means that we are looking at the distance from one particular location, which is from here all the way to the head of that arrow. And likewise for the orange one, which is from our starting point to the head point. And that is what absolute value means. And take note that this is on a number line. Now looking at examples, given the question that says that what is the absolute value of 7/5, our answer is that we are going to have the positive value of 7/5. Next is how about the absolute value of -√3. The -√3, take note that it is an irrational number. Therefore, we are going to have still the positive value of the square root to be the answer, which is positive √3. And next is how about the absolute value of 0. In this case, we are going to get our answer to be 0. And next is how about negative the absolute value of pi. The answer is going to be, we have negative, the absolute value of pi is positive pi. Therefore, the combination of those is negative pi. And because the negative sign is outside, it will be applied after you perform the absolute value of the pi. Next is negative of the absolute value of -√9. We know that √9 is 3, and therefore once we have that, we know that since we're looking at -√9, we're going to have positive 3, and therefore once we apply our negative to positive 3, that is equal to -3. And so this is how you approach absolute values. The absolute value of any number is equal to the distance from a point to where the number is located. That is what it means always, from 0 to the number. From 0 to the number. From 0 to 0. From 0 to pi. But then we're going to apply the negative after that. From 0 to the number, which is negative 3. So therefore, we have positive 3, but applying the negative gives us negative 3.